All right, this breaking news, CHP in pursuit of a stolen vehicle suspect.
That's right, SkyCal is live overhead, and as you can see there right now on the 10 eastbound in the Redlands area. This is apparently a stolen car, as we mentioned, and Mike Rogers at the desk right now is also following the developments. Mike, what can you tell us here?
Yeah, so Juan and Pat, we've known about this pursuit and have been trying to get to it for almost the better part of 45 minutes now. This started with LASD's Temple City deputies. This car has been going so fast the entire time, SkyCal has really been having a hard time catching up. So we finally did, though. LASD says this was just a situation where they ran a license plate, the car came back stolen. They tried to stop it. Initially, they did indicate that they were going to pull over and then just never did and continued. We have been exclusively on the 10 freeway this entire time as we come into almost the Yucaipa area now. This person has been going at high speeds up to 100 miles an hour. As we were back at the 10 and the 215 split, there was actually some construction that CHP was worried about, but he blew right through that. Luckily, nobody got hurt during that portion of it. But now you've got officers from CHP's San Bernardino office chasing this. The sheriff's department gave it up to CHP all the way back in the East LA area. That's where the CHP office that picked it up was, and we have just gone through office after office after office of the CHP, and now we're coming into Yucaipa, Pat and Juan.
All right, you know, it's interesting. We see those speeds. It's really going very fast there. Just wondering, we said we've talked about a driver. Do we know if that's the only suspect in the vehicle? Could there possibly be a passenger? And do we know why they ran the plate? Maybe somebody called in that the car was stolen or something?
We've only heard reference to one person. You know, they've been going so fast that I don't believe any of the units have had a chance to actually see inside the car. As far as the reason they ran the plate, that's not clear to us right now. You know, law enforcement can run plates for all kinds of different reasons. Could have been a traffic violation, could have been, you know, something like that. And they, you know, the plate came back stolen. They did what they call Code 9, which is a pre-stop coordination where they, you know, gather all their units together, got a helicopter overhead, and then it wasn't until they had all those units, excuse me, and that helicopter that they tried to make the stop. And then it didn't work, and this person is continuing now.
Yeah, and you know what? The farther and farther east he goes, just look ahead at the traffic in front of him. It looks like the road pretty much is free and clear. Traffic very light at this hour. And as Mike was saying, Pat, look at this as we open up that shot, just how clear the freeway is in front of this driver. And with SkyCal having a tough time keeping up, you know this car is going pretty fast.
Okay, but now look at those speeds there. It seems like they might, well, as soon as I said that, it started inching up again. It seems like they might have an opportunity to catch up. And I know it looks pretty free and clear. Just makes you wonder, too, what kind of vehicle this is and what kind of gas mileage and where that tank is
where it was
at the moment. At the moment it was stolen.
Yeah, my photographer in SkyCal telling me this is a Hyundai Elantra that they're chasing. And I can also tell you who we have overhead. We have a CHP helicopter overhead, but we've had sheriff's deputies have been overhead. Excuse me, Ontario Police has been overhead, and now we have the CHP helicopter. So this guy's already gone through 2 different law enforcement agencies, several offices of the CHP, and now they're on their 3rd law enforcement helicopter as we cross into Riverside County from the San Bernardino County area.
Wow. Okay. And what a distance that is, right, Pat? Yes. Started in Temple City, and now we're looking at Yucaipa. So, you know, several counties already at a high rate of speed. And Mike was mentioning earlier that this car apparently had indicated, or the driver, that he was going to pull over, and something changed rapidly, right? And the driver kept going, and here we are on the 10 freeway going at a high rate of speed.
Yeah, and he indicated that, you know, it sounded like he maybe put a blinker on and started indicating like he was going to yield, because we heard them say, okay, looks like the vehicle's yielding, and then it was, nope, not going to yield, we're in pursuit. And, you know, the Temple City Watch Commander very quickly wanted to give this over to CHP.
Well, you know, it's interesting. We have seen in just the last couple of weeks alone just how aggressive the CHP and other law enforcement agencies have become in trying to bring these things to a stop. We've seen actually spike strips on the freeway, which is something very rare, and not exactly sure what they plan to do, Mike. I don't know if you're hearing anything, but it looks like right now they're sort of letting this car go. I mean, they don't seem to be driving recklessly, at least from what we've seen. But we also know that they can do make the moves that they want to bring this to an end.
Yeah, we were kind of watching the car. Like I said, SkyCal has been chasing this for a while, and we could see it on the end of the lens. We weren't close enough really to take it on television, but we could see it on the end of the lens, and he was weaving where he needed to weave to get around traffic. So he really has not let traffic, become a problem for him, or for them, I should say. I don't know if it's a male or a female. But to your point about CHP, excuse me, yeah, they do have something that they want to try soon. But we're kind of back in this area now where we've crossed into Riverside County, and we're dealing now with another CHP office. So, you have every time we go through a different CHP area, you have a different set of officers, a different sergeant, a different person calling the shots. So it kind of rotates every time we go into a new CHP area. But I can tell you they do have something they want to try soon. So we'll see if that happens.
And we've seen it before, right? Depending on jurisdiction. Some perhaps are a little more aggressive than others, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we're in the IE, and the IE law enforcement are definitely more aggressive than some of the LA County ones. So, it is CHP calling the shots here. CHP has a rule that it's theirs and nobody else's. So if CHP is involved, they don't want any other agency involved.
Right.
They just want to do it on their own because, they have their own rules, their own tactics, everything like that.
And they were called for assistance. LASD wanted assistance from CHP, so they took over. Now, it's interesting when you say they pass through different jurisdictions. Does that matter in terms of who's following, or are they just taking instructions from that particular watch commander? I mean, does it necessarily mean that it's in Riverside now, so now the Riverside vehicles have to take over?
So yes and no. I mean, they will because it's a joint agency, right? If this was a different agency chasing and CHP could have said, we don't really want it, but because it's CHP chasing, they're for sure going to hand it off.
And it seems like they're keeping quite a distance here too, right? They do approach to a certain point, but they're keeping this distance pretty much consistently throughout this pursuit here. And what we saw was maybe one or two, I think there's 4 CHP cruisers behind this driver. And again, traffic looking pretty clear here on the 10 freeway westbound, exit 92. So it's Oak Valley Parkway at this moment.
Well, I know they have different, sometimes they want to get different eyes just to remain fresh. But this we've been watching this from Temple City, San Bernardino County, Riverside County.
In this situation, the only reason they're switching is because of the ground they're covering, right? We're talking, our desk and our technical folks are talking because even we're starting to get into some jurisdictional issues where we're almost out of our market. We're coming into the Palm Springs market soon.
Yeah.
So, that's also something we have to think about is how far are we going to chase this. But, that CHP doesn't have that problem. They're a statewide agency. They've already notified their border units is where covers the Palm Springs area, San Diego, all of that. So, they'll chase this to the edge of the state, wherever that may take them or till this ends.
It could be Arizona, right?
Could be Arizona. It could chase them to the Mexican border. I mean, CHP has no limits within the state of California.
Well, right now, about the same, still traveling at high speeds there. I wouldn't say weaving in and out, but certainly going around vehicles, right? Which is still dangerous when you're driving at that rate of speed. No question about it. Passing those trucks and other, high-powered vehicles on the road there. We haven't seen anything in terms of police tactics as to what they could do to try to bring this to an end. So it looks like they will just continue to follow this vehicle. And, I don't know, maybe they're thinking that this person could try to make an exit. We just don't know that. We don't know exactly where this person, we know this happened in Temple City, but where does this person live? Or
where do they live? What's their goal? I mean, are they just going to try to outrun it? CHP is not the agency to try to outrun because, they'll just keep chasing you as evident. This person's been being chased since they were, behind East LA deputies. And now, just another thing, I'm looking at the flight radar here. CHP has launched another helicopter to come relieve the current one. And this is, so the CHP has helicopters in different parts of the state. The helicopter that's over it is their Metro helicopter, which covers Orange County and LA County. The helicopter that's on their way is their inland helicopter, which covers the IE, Riverside, San Bernardino counties. So not only on the ground can CHP swap out all night long, but they can swap out in the air as well. And so that's what's happening. They've got another one that's coming to swap out the LA helicopter.
And that obviously means they really want to catch this guy.
Yeah, I mean,
they want to catch this person.
Yeah, I mean, this guy should know that he's been being chased now for almost an hour. And, they're not giving up. So, who knows what his plan is, what he's thinking. But, it's not going to stop anytime soon.
And it's kind of a waiting game, too. And I'm just wondering why the CHP on the ground just don't pull back and just they can follow this by air. Maybe that'll
And
just
have somebody pick up.
give him a false sense of security, thinking, okay, he's escaped, he's made it, and maybe, maybe pull over, pull off, and then, get him somewhere else. But we're basically watching a car drive at a high rate of speed eastbound on the 10 freeway with CHP's officers behind him. As you mentioned, Pat, nothing too erratic. He's either stayed in that number 1 lane there or the middle lane, and that's about it.
It does make you wonder, because guys, we've seen where we think, okay, they've stayed behind, the vehicle has exited, and we think, oh, okay, but they've got eyes in the neighborhood or maybe at an intersection, but that is not always the case. How many times have we seen these vehicles make exits, and then you go, oh, nobody's there.
Right.
Except for the
helicopter.
The spotlight.
And that's what happens when you get into these tracking mode situations, or the sheriff's department, they call it surveillance mode. And so the sheriff's department, when they were originally chasing this, they did go into surveillance mode for a period of time. The difference between CHP is CHP doesn't do that, really. I've seen them maybe a handful of times do it, and it's for usually when the want or the reason they're chasing the car is much more minor. Anything like stolen car, anything like this, they are either in it or they're not. And so you don't get those situations generally when you're with CHP, when they get off the freeway and there's no officers close behind, because generally CHP doesn't do that. I think our director Mike was telling me we can take my computer and I can just kind of show you. So this is SkyCal right here. This is the CHP helicopter that's been with it, and you've got another CHP helicopter, this one, that's coming over kind of the Big Bear in the mountains there. So this is where we're at. We're coming into the Banning area, and like I mentioned, our jurisdiction, right? We're almost out of it. Palm Springs is just a little bit further to the east. Yeah. So, we'll see how long we're able to chase this. We're also going to have some fuel issues soon. We've been up for a long time, but CHP is not going to have that problem. They've got a lot of cars and a lot of helicopters.
And it's so much darker when you're heading, right?
Yeah.
Toward Palm Springs.
Yeah,
it just gets, that makes it a bit more, I would say, precarious.
Well, and even, if you think about it, the 10 freeway, if he stays on the 10, that doesn't run directly through Palm Springs, right? I mean, that runs just to the north. You have some of these the 111 and some other freeways that go more through the city of Palm Springs. But if he stays on the 10, obviously he'll end up down here in the Salton Sea or, what have you. But, they'll keep chasing him. This is actually a Riverside Sheriff's helicopter as well. So lots of law enforcement in the area for this guy.
So what we know, Hyundai Elantra been going for about an hour at a high rate of speed. So what are you thinking, guys? Maybe somebody can tweet us as to how much longer they think this person can go. I mean, considering he's been driving at certainly over 65 miles, over 70 miles an hour from that distance, Temple City to here in almost Banning.
It's covering a lot of ground.
That's a lot of ground.
In a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And apparently going so fast that SkyCal at the beginning of this pursuit had trouble keeping up with it. As Mike was telling us, they apparently ran this plate. It came back as stolen. The pursuit began. The driver indicated possibly using a turn signal that he was going to pull over for law enforcement. And then this pursuit there took off, as we've been seeing here now for quite a bit of time at high rates of speed as well. And again, it's a Hyundai Elantra, not a high-performance vehicle by any means, but look at this, Pat. He used a turn signal to make a lane change.
Well, you know what? Remember, he did that before, according to Mike, early on in this pursuit, which indicated to the officers that he was going to pull over. He did a rope-a-dope, if you will, and just kept going. So they started. They continued to go after him. Did I hear 3 different CHP exchanges here?
Helicopters or ground units?
Helicopters.
So helicopters, we went through the LA County Sheriff's Department, Ontario PD, CHP, and then there's a second CHP coming
on the way. So that'll be 4.
Yeah, that'll be 4. As far as CHP offices, we've gone through East LA, Santa Fe Springs, Baldwin Park, Rancho Cucamonga, San Bernardino, Riverside, and now we're coming into the red frequency, which I don't even know which one that is. It's Palm Springs, I believe, or Indio or something like that. So really moving through them.
And indicating, too, that CHP is not going to get tired because they keep changing.
Yeah, well, because, you have these offices have been in pursuit, maybe for 10 minutes, and then they hand it off to the next one.
Right.
So it's no skin off their back. They'll chase the guy for 10 minutes, give it to the next office, and go back to their normal duties. You're not in a situation where you're losing all of your officers for an extended period of time, because this guy is just flying through these areas so quickly that it's just a pretty quick handoff.
I didn't ask. Did this start on the freeway or not? Surface streets? Because we said sheriff's department was involved at first.
So the way it started is they were on surface streets, but they didn't officially try to pull him over until he was on the 10.
Okay.
So they got behind him on surface streets and then followed him as he got on the freeway, tried to make the stop on the freeway, and he took off. And we've just have not moved from the 10 freeway the entire time.
It makes me wonder if it's more than just a stolen car at this point, this want. I mean, it's a lot of resources, a lot of effort to catch this guy, this driver.
I mean, there's, obviously we don't know the specific situation, and neither do the officers, but you always got to wonder why people are running so hard. I mean, it's a stolen car. Does this person have prior stolen cars? Could this be a third strike situation? Do they have warrants as well? It's hard to tell.
Does the person whose car this belongs to, do they know this driver? That could possibly give officers more information, and then they can run background.
And that's nothing that we heard. They are pretty good about that initially, saying, is this a known suspect? Can we catch up with this person later? And so it's sorry, I'm coordinating something with our helicopter. It could be one of those situations where they don't know the person, which is why they're not going to let it go. Because remember, I mean, it's not like they can run the plate and
correct. And come back with the correct address.
Right, because you don't know who the person is. So there's not a lot that they know about this person. And again, he's been going so fast that they don't have a good look inside the car. They can't tell if this person has anything. And again, and I know our photographer at SkyCal's having a little trouble hearing us, but last time we were in pretty tight on the car, again, Desmond talks about it all the time, the pursuit tint, where the windows are pretty dark and it's hard to see in there. So.
Now, without giving too much away, Mike, you were mentioning that they're thinking about trying something. Without being too specific, what would be some of the techniques they would use on the freeway?
Well, I'm actually comfortable telling you what it is because we've passed that point and they're not looking at it anymore. They were at one point going to try some spike strips.
Okay.
I think Pat and I and Desmond were doing one a couple weeks ago or I don't even remember. They all blend together. But where they actually did use spike strips, the difference was the person was at pretty much freeway speeds, maybe a little bit less. On our speedometer here, this person's going over 100 miles an hour.
Right.
So that makes it much harder. It's very dark down there. I think it was like the 5 freeway where it happened in LA, and there were some more street lights, and it was a little bit brighter out. So, you have a lot of officer safety issues when we're going this fast on a very dark freeway.
Yeah, because right now they would have to be, they're not in the exit lane, right? So it's not like they could position themselves there. They would have to be off right next to, the divider there.
They've stayed in the fast lanes pretty much the entire time we've been watching it, right?
Yeah.
And these are wide freeways, I mean, spike strips are not long enough to cover a 6-lane freeway.
Right.
As I said, if they were hugging an exit lane, that could be a possibility. We've seen that happen before. But to stay, as you say, in either carpool or fast lane, that's...
And look at this.
That's even more dangerous as dark as it is.
Look at the locator there, Hagen Lehman, which is maybe 1 or 2 exits before you get off to the 111 in Palm Springs. So this guy has already passed the casino, Morongo Casino, as far as, if the map there is correct. Right, Mike? Yeah,
no, it is. And I'm tracking him on the radar as well. We're almost coming up on the 111 split to go to Palm Springs. That's actually, earlier when I got a little distracted, we're coordinating with the Palm Springs airport to see if we can land there for fuel. We've got probably about 10 or so minutes left before we'll need fuel. So that's what we're trying to coordinate. But yeah, I mean, we're covering
past
a
the
lot
windmills.
Of Yes.
From what we
that's right.
Just heard from our producer that this guy has passed the windmills.
Yeah.
For people that are familiar with the Palm Springs area, then pretty much where they are, where this is headed. And again, I just can't stress how dark it is because I've driven there at night and it's pretty. So to have something like this, even for the vehicles that are out there, all right, we lost.
And I was worried if that was going to happen as we kind of get out. Oh, we picked them back up. But
we're back there.
You can see where we're at here. We've got
That's not live.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's tape playback. Sorry about that. But we do have this CHP helicopter that's kind of, picking up behind us here. So we're listening to them coordinate, try to get our signal back here. But yeah, I mean, we are covering a lot of ground. We're even so far away right now that I can't actually hear CHP on the radio anymore because they've switched to a frequency that we don't really use. So it's not programmed into our systems here. But we're moving and just been on that pedal the whole time.
So now that we're in Palm Springs, basically, let's just call it that, Mike. How far can SkyCal go and still bring us a signal that we could broadcast?
Yeah, well, I'm listening to that right now. Our technical folks are working on that. I mean, you know, really, you know, back in the day when we've chased one to almost the border.
Right.
But there's a lot of variables, especially in this area where get in between mountains a little bit, and depending on altitude and how we can, you know, hit different mountaintops there. But our TOC is working on trying to get that situated right now. But yeah, I mean, this is the problem when we're getting out and we're asking them to get a little bit of altitude to try to get that signal back in.
Wow.
All right, so this is still not a live picture. This is what we aired
Correct.
earlier.
That's tape on the left there. On the right, this is live tracking of our helicopter as well as the CHP helicopter. So
Okay.
you can.
Yeah, where is it
On
now?
the 111 now?
We're at the split,
Yeah.
so I got to
Not
wait
quite.
to see
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, which way we go, whether
There's
we
the
keep going on the
111.
10 or go south on the 111. So that's what they're dealing with right now. And again, like I said, the border units of this, and it looked like we stayed on the 10 here.
It looks like you just passed the 111 on your
Excuse me.
computer,
Yeah,
Mike.
that CHP helicopter continued on the 10. So, you know, really, when you look at
Wow.
the 10 freeway, you can take the 10 to Arizona, you know, through Blythe and all the way out here, if he really, really, really wanted to, and if his car goes that long, if CHP is interested in that long, you know, CHP also has options once the road starts to get a little more open. Excuse me, they can, you know, have a little bit more freedom with the spike strips if they're not worried about other cars.
I was going to say, in terms of getting in position, right? It would be safer.
Right, when you're not worried about civilians and other motorists.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, guys, and we will be back with more on this stolen car pursuit on the 10 freeway in the Palm Springs area. We'll be right back.